Peace. Welcome to the Real HD Show, the higher discussion. I'm your host, Vic. This is the show that you're going to get on these or any other airways, but you're going to get the good, the bad, the ugly of our folks. And we do what? We heal it with freedom music. Y'all need to come join and get involved with the freedom music moment. That happens from 7:30 to 8 o'clock. You take the link down below, you put it in your address bar above, and you can join me backstage for all that soulful, for all that prideful, for all that motivational hip hop, soul, R&B, reggae, all melanated music will apply. Um, please join us back there, and you can get all that good in your hood as we break it down on the Real HD Show. This is your forum for exploring freedom, justice, and equality, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, getting that itch scratched that you need when you're like, yo, this don't make no type of sense. This is the show to help it make sense. You know what I mean? Got to put mind in gear before putting body in motion. A lot of our folks do it in reverse. Um, let's jump right into it, man. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the show. That's very important. That's the lifeline of the show. Can't stress it enough. Give us a like, give us a heart, give us a follow. We are blasting off the 5 Facebook pages. We're blasting off to YouTube. Prime Time with a Purpose. If you want to catch us, that's the name of the YouTube channel, and the show is called The Real HD Show. So go to Prime Time with a Purpose, follow, subscribe to The Real HD Show. Don't cost you anything. We may, though, start to ask for, monicum donations for the show, for the show's benefit, for the show's enterprises, so on and so forth. Because we got to bring you all these fantastic shows that we have planned for the new year. You know, Real HD Show, Simply Supreme Show, Broadcast Beat Show. We got and the bonus, the basketball hoop show that's currently going. College Big House Breakdown, the college football show. We got Blacktastic Shopping. We got the VMX Music Experience video show. We got the Pool Society, a show about cannabis. We got Sneaker Madness, and Pets du Jour. So that's all coming to you courtesy of the Real HD Network. If you like who we are and you like what we do, please consider dropping a little cash our way. $sign the Real HD Show, $sign the Real HD Show. Sharing is caring at this time of the year. You know what I mean? Folks are in need. The channel is in need, but folks are in need, period. If you can't drop it on the show, drop it on someone that you care or you love so that they can do a whole lot better than they were. All right, man. So we moving, man. We moving. We running fast. We moving. We got a lot to get to. Tonight is a share your vid night. Once again, share the heat. You know what I'm saying? All everybody in the Real HD Show chat room, everybody in the Real HD Show chat room on Facebook, the Real HD Show chat room on Instagram. We're on Twitter as well. We advertise there. We're on TikTok as well. We advertise there. Please go check us out. Give us a subscribe. Give us a share. Give us a like. All that good stuff. We are the Real HD Show. Be healthy, fresh food markets. Right here in Rochester, New York, 4 locations. I believe the flagship store is on Thurston. They got one at Liberty Pole on East Main. They got all your health and soulful food needs. They got that ITO for you. You know what I mean? The ITO, healthy eating for you. Salads, soups, wraps, smoothies, teas, shakes. Go see Imhotep. Go see Negus. Go see all of the brilliant brothers and sisters down at Be Healthy Fresh Food Markets. Tell them the Real HD Show sent you. Bats Footwear. That's right. Bats from the NOLA. Shout out to the NOLA. Shout out to them Texas. Shout out to Kivo. Haven't seen or heard from Kivo in a minute, but he helped us secure this sponsor. So shout out to him. Hope is all well with that brother. Beautiful artist, real hype artist out of the NOLA, out of the Texas area. If you ever get a chance to see his work, give him a shout out. But Batch Footwear is more about a merging of two worlds: revolutionary soul comfort and stylish sneakers like the Harachis. So we took the uh like I designed it. They engineered the shoe with those two ideals in mind. So please, they put a lot of, and they're giving you some fat laces like back in the day. I don't know if you old enough like me, you'll remember the fat laces. You know what I'm saying? And they came in different colors, so you could alternate your laces and style them out. I don't know why that died out. That was so fresh. Anyway, so hit us up, Batch Footwear, Real HD Show. Also, Black House. Check out Black House right there on, if you're ever in the Rochester area, go to Monroe Ave, 190 Monroe Ave, second floor. Tell Jazzy that the Real HG Show sent you there to get some of all their wares. You know what I'm saying? Get some of all their good stuff that they have to offer at Black House. Check them out. Give them some love. Also, check out my sisters down in the ATL, Pam, Lala, doing Cleaning the Mirrors podcast, Reflections of Acceptance, Embracing You in the Mirror. It comes on every Sunday at 7 p.m. So please give them a like, give them a replay or play, like, share, subscribe, comment to all their stuff. You know what I'm saying? Please do that. Please do that. Please do that. Please share this show. And if you want to get involved, the link is down on the bottom on this moon day. StreamYard.com, Z7A ICIWZ6B. That's the way to get in tune with what we dealing with right now. We got a lot on tap for you tonight, a lot in store. We want you to get involved for much, much more. You are rocking with the Real HD Show, wherever you at, where you at. Get involved, get in here. We need you so that we can have a higher discussion. Okay, so first and as always, we want to go to our elders and ancestors. Now, usually I'll feature one of the ancestors' wisdom because they always try to hide it. America has a franchise with hiding the contributions and wisdom of our ancestors. But we're not going to let that happen. But tonight, we have one of our elders on tap, right? Shahrazad Ali. Oh man, let the boo birds begin, right? Especially from the sisters. Sisters don't really like Shahrazad Ali, but she is of the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, freedom, justice, and liberation faith. Conscious community sister. We want to embrace her. We want to celebrate what she has to say. And she has something to say about holidays. So we're going to get into this with Shahrazad Ali and what she has to say about holidays right here on The Real HD Show. Check it out.
Yeah, black people running in the store, Valentine's Day, Easter, Halloween. Y'all coming out with a sack. You know? None of them holidays, got anything on it even remotely about us. Martin Luther King, that ain't really no holiday. The white people didn't even like him till he died. They don't like nobody till they dead. Ain't no problem no more. So stop giving them money for every holiday. Express your love to your loved one on some date that you pick out. You don't have to worry about being romantic. You're not the Romans. You can't be romantic. A whole lot of what we try to be, it's not even in us. We're trying to mimic them. So don't be, that kind of a slave. Okay, promote their children to participate in integrated activities.
All right, so that's it. So I'm not going to get too far or too long-winded with the breakdown of that. Hey, she was saying some real shit. She was like, "Yo, we not Roman, so how a lot of their romantic holidays gonna apply to us?" And then if you look and you think about all of the things that we are and the things that we're not, and you see some of the things that we are subjected to, that in a lot of ways kind of don't really, vibe with our spirit, our energy, our frequency as a people, but yet they expect us to play along. You know what I mean? And we're gonna see some things later on in the show that they expect us to play along with, even though it's not right in his act. So we're gonna keep going. So let us know how you feel about the Shahrazad Ali piece on holidays. Like it, don't like it. Let us know. Tell us throughout the show. Okay, so we're moving on. We're moving on. We're moving on to the rest of the show, and we're going to get into a AAT report. Cue the music. Hey, always give credit where credit is due. Shout out to DJ Clean for that dynamite beat. That's a beat called Slide. Dirty Clean as a group did a song called Slide. It's really, really dope. Y'all check them out. Go to YouTube, go to the Dirty Clean page, and you too can hear the whole version of Slide. But that's the instrumental just for promotional purposes for the AAT Health Report. Why? Because we want to be healthy, wealthier, and wiser. We need cell power. It was robbed from us some years ago due to clandestine situations and, macro programming. So we are here to try to get some of that back. And one of the joints that we're going to do tonight or show is by Dr. Bobby Price. Um, and he's talking about something very, very crucial that we should think about, especially during this holiday season where things could get peculiar. Things could even people could even wind up in the emergency room. And I'm saying that from my experience because I've experienced some holiday emergency room type of situations with loved ones who didn't watch what they were doing. They didn't get great medical advice. They didn't watch their eating or curb their spending, and they wound up paying for it with their health over this period during this time of the year. But let's check out Dr. Bobby Price and Brother Reza Islam building on medical choices. Check this out, Real HD Show.
Nature. And
Yes.
our immune system is capable of fighting absolutely anything if we provide the right environment for it. And I think the most important thing is making an informed choice, and you need to understand where you're getting your information from. And there's a book called How to Lie with Statistics.
Oh, yes. One of Bill Gates' favorites.
Yep. And I think considering he was one of the advocates,
Yes.
and I think it's really important to kind of look at all those people who were on the front lines advocating for it, who have now doubled back now. And then it's also just really important to understand that when you get in a situation where you're in fear or being sort of fear-mongered into a decision, you need to take some time, get good choices from people who don't have a fiduciary connection with the benefit of you doing something with your health. So
Yes.
I just think that's really important.
Yeah, man. So we are back, and that was part of our AAT report. And I'll give a quick story. Just watched the movie about, and I think it was featuring the young lady who was played as the star of Sabrina, the Teenage Witch, and it was some sort of movie. I was watching it with the wifey, and the husband, the father rather, the family went away on vacation, left the patriarch, the father of the family, elder, right, senior, at home. He had an accident. I think Lala Anthony's in it too. She's playing like a, administrator, health administrator or something like that, right? And real interesting role for her, different, right? And one of the pivotal things that happened in the movie was he had an accident, hit his head, had to go into treatment, I don't know if you guys know, but sometimes when elders who are still, I guess, in a position to, they still have their mental and cognitive faculties, right? They'll have an accident and they'll put them in this program that looks like hospice, but it's not quite. And if you don't have the money to pay for those type of things and they can't identify any family straight away, they'll start nipping and dipping into them savings, into that 401k, into retirement, into all of the things that seniors live off of as, in their golden ages. And they do this, and this is a pretty good racket. And it's legal too. And what they did in the show was, because the family wasn't there to claim him straight away, the state took him in as a ward. And then they had control over all of his fiduciary channels, all of his money, all of his assets, and they drained it all before the family got there. And the family couldn't fight for him. It was a long, exhausted battle to get him out of that, medical treatment facility. They were drugging him. He had sores and warts all over him. They were treating him real bad. You know what I mean? And they couldn't do anything about it. They even arrested the mother, or the daughter for that matter, within the movie, Sabrina the Teenage Witch character. I forget her name, McDonald something, I don't know. But the point is, they arrested her for trying to help her father, for all intended purposes. And it was just crazy twists and turns throughout the movie. And I thought to myself as I was watching the movie, I said, I'm gonna feature that on the show, because how many people, now that the boomers are transitioning, now that the Goldens are still transitioning, the quiet generation, right? And they all have assets. And how many people are being duped? Medicaid, Medicare, Medicaid Part 2 or Plan B or whatever it's called. How many folks are being duped out of their assets as seniors because they're making poor choices, poor health choices, because they feel desperate. They need the help, they need the medical attention. There's nobody around them who doesn't have a fiduciary responsibility to help them. Everybody has something to gain in that moment. So no one's going to tell them the truth. And it just turns out to be this use and abuse situation of our elders. How many of our elders have gone through this? You know what I mean? Not to mention, how many of us are getting poor health advice? You think you're putting up the house to help granny, but really down the line, Medicaid is going to confiscate that house if you read the fine print. So it's just interesting, man. I thought I should share that with y'all. Please, while y'all during the holiday and past, right? When y'all are in flux and so many things going on and family members and this one and that one, watch your seniors, watch your loved ones. Make sure they're good. Make sure they're breathing. Make sure they don't have any slips and falls. You know what I mean? Because that's how you wind up in these turbulent circumstances. All right, enough said on that, man. Let's keep it pushing. We have a second part of the AAT report, and this is about alternate eating for the holiday. So this is Maccabee, and he's going to give us some alternative things that we could do with our health as far as eating goes, um, during the holiday on the Real HD Show. AAT report. Check it out.
Maccabees Whammy Eats Wednesday. And today is the result of the competition. And the competition was sending an avocado recipe. And the winner was Garden of Myla on Instagram. Big up Garden of Myla. Yes, I am. And the winner is avocado key lime pie. Okay, let's give it a try. Alright, what do we need first? Ingredients for the crust: dates, spelt flour, and walnuts. A little coconut milk could be delicious. Get a food processor, put them all in, then process. Put them in a grease tin. Spread it out and put them in the fridge. The next part of the pie you have to deal with. The next part is the filling. That's where the avocado come in. Coconut cream. Put it to use. Lime zest, day sugar, and lime juice. Blender, food processor. You choose, then blend them up until they are smooth. Then get the crust from the refrigerator. Remember, you saved it till later. Spread the filling on the crust an even layer. Add any toppings that you desire. Then chill for a few hours or overnight till the filling is set right. When it's ready, take a bite. Avocado key lime pie for your delight. How want me eat Wednesdays? Yes, I am.
Yeah, without any of the supermarket additives and fillers and all of the mass manufacturing sugar and additives. Healthy key lime pie. They made it avocado style. Now I love avocados and I like key lime pie. I don't know about the two as a mixture, but I love the attempt at the tinkering, the ideas, and the engineering of it all to be creative and healthy. Thumbs up from Real HD Show. You know what I'm saying? That gets a bomb right there. Boom. Love the attempt, love the ingenuity, love the creativity. Love it, love it, love it. Let's keep it moving. All right. So let us know at home what you think about avocado key lime pie. Are you a cooking tinkerer like my daughter? My daughter loves to cook and tinker and add this and a little bit of that. And then she'll master a recipe and it'll come out dope. And the great thing about it is, you know, we're vegetarians, so we have to find alternatives every time we cook. So that's good. But, let us know what you think at home. Give us some of your holiday sweet alternatives that you will go to. What are some of your go-tos? What are some of your ingredients? Let us know. Let's talk about it. Let's build on it. Let's keep our family healthy and satisfied during this season. All right, so we're gonna keep it pushing. We're gonna keep it pushing on the Real HD Show. So next we have the Lit City report. The wild, the wacky, the wonderful things that make our world go round because we need to smile. Smile even though your heart is aching, smile even though your heart is breaking. All right. So, and that just kind of takes the edge off just a little bit. You know what I mean? So, we got a couple of really great things to talk about on the Lit City report, and we want to highlight them. You know what I mean? But first, before we go any further, update, 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 update. That's right. It's an update on the Real HD Show. The update is about the brother named Julian Brown. I don't know if you remember him, but we did a story about Julian Brown not too long ago. And that brother was the brilliant brother who found a chemical alternative that turns plastic to gas, usable gas. And he perfected it. He perfected it. He really got it down to a science. And there's all type of forces that are trying to get him to work with them on the Frank Abagnale tip. And there's a lot of forces that don't want to see him successful. But this brother has been successful at another venture that we want to feature on the Real HD Show. This brother has created his own gas station from the reserves of his work. And we're going to check this out. We're going to see a little bit of it. We're going to deal with a little bit of it right now in our Lit City report. Check this out. Real HD Show.
Created my own gas station that makes fuel from plastic waste. Let's go. So this is plastic crude oil. And as you can see, we have quite a bit of this plastic crude oil. Well, it can be fuel, but we need to refine it and clean it up. So let's do that.
All right. So as you can see, the brother has plenty of apparatus. He has plenty of things to, you know, display the brilliance and the ingenuity that he's come up with to manifest and build his own gas station that turns plastic to usable ethane gas. And then, of course, there was another part of that. Y'all can go on YouTube or Instagram and watch the rest of that. But it actually can run cars and heat homes and do all of the things that you need gasoline and petroleum to do. Um, Shout out to Julian Brown, brilliant brother. And if you see an advertisement from him and he needs plastic or any of your reserves, please, get in the mood for recycling. Send him your tons of plastic so that he can have the resources to run his gas station. And then also, um, what's important about that is that the oceans are overrun with plastic. Animals and our sustenance is dying because plastic. They're fed plastic by accident and on purpose. And we need to be very vigilant about that, caring and very, observant and cognizant about the way we go about using it. Because all plastic is not recyclable. But if this brother can find a way, like Singapore found a way to use their trash and use their plastic for, logistic and rudimentary purposes, so can we. And we can support this brother doing dynamite things with his plastic. All right. And we're moving on, man. Second part of our Lit City report. Robert Glasper, my man, the jazz, hip hop, R&B aficionado, has an album out for the holidays. And the reason why I celebrate this brother is because he finds a way, a non-invasive way, really dope, really creative, to fuse jazz with hip hop, with R&B, with all of those things that matter to music enthusiasts like us. So, In December is the name of his album, and Five Fingers has, which is a website. They have a little review on Robert Glasper's album, right? So we want to play that right now, or open it up, and we'll read a little bit of the review. So it says it's 8 tracks, explore the contemplative side of the holidays, filtered through Glasper's blend of contemporary jazz, R&B, soulful elements. Glasper has featured the likes of PJ Morton, dynamite singer, Seven Streeter, really cool artist, Cynthia Erivo, I don't really care for her, but she can sing. Tank Bell, dope artist. Alex Isley, super, super soulful artist. If you don't know about Alex Isley, you better get involved. She'll melt your heart if you listen to her long enough. Andrea Day, really dope singer, fine sister, and the Baylor Project, each contributing to his distinctive sound palette. And at the end of it all, here's the critique. In December is not a typical holiday album. It's moody, reflective, and intentionally understated. While it may not deliver the Nat King Cole, Frank Sinatra punch of holiday spirit, its improvisational spirit that Glasper fans may hope for. It offers a kind of beauty, one that lies in the warmth, sincerity, and comfort of its steadiness. Yeah, man. So that's our Lit City report on Robert Glasper's album In December. So I'm digging it. I'm a big Robert Glasper fan, and you should too, because those of us that are, or any of us, no matter what age range you are, if you just want to break from the radio, you want to break from the pop culture of it all, throw on some Robert Glasper. For students, it's great for studying. For adults, it's great to kind of that wind down you need to kind of, have a glass of wine with, just kind of cool out with. And then you'll hear some tones and some sounds that you can recognize because he's a heavy hip hop head while he's an instrumentalist, pianist, real dope dude, real dope brother. Go check out, what is it called? Black Radio, I believe is his other album, the Grammy album that he won. That's another dope album. It features everybody in the world. That's really dope. Go check that album out. He's made about 3 feature infused albums that are really good. But anytime Robert Glasper has a joint that I could highlight, I'm going to do it because he's worth it. He's worth a listen. Yo, don't take my word for it. Let's vet it. Yo, Real HD Show listeners, go out there, listen to the Robert Glasper album, then come on back to the Real HD Show. Let's have a higher discussion about it. All right, man. So we're done with all of our early segments. So let's go to a sponsor right here. Total Package Energy. Olympic tested people approve. Waters, gels, teas, zips, powders, juices, all the things you need to move with speed to get that 3 to 5 o'clock crash off of you. Feature and go get you some Total Package Energy at totalpackageenergy.com. Tell them that the Real HD Show sent you, and they will hook you up. Mob that website. Let them know that you're there to get that all natural, good. Leave that Red Bull alone. Leave that Gatorade alone. Go get you some Total Package Energy. All right, man. So we're moving on. And we're going to jump right into your videos. Power to the people news. Wait, what just happened? This just happened. Walmart is at it again. I'm going to show y'all the video, right? And then y'all could tap in with me after y'all saw the video. And we're going to talk about a couple things popping. And I just want to get y'all vibe on it. What do y'all think? Y'all still supporting Walmart after all of this? Y'all still vibing with Walmart after all of this? Y'all let me know. Real HD Show, check it out.
Walmart has just announced this week that it will discontinue its DEI programs, stop trying to include black businesses and women-owned businesses as suppliers, and remove LGBTQ merchandise from its stores. Walmart is the nation's largest employer with 1.6 million U.S. workers, and they're not the only ones. Lowe's, Harley-Davidson, Toyota, Ford Motor Company, and Molson Coors have all announced plans to scale back their DEI initiatives too. It's part of a larger effort by Trump conservatives to portray white Americans as the true victims of racism in America. It's like the story of Wicked, where a spectacular con artist and a sycophant convinced the gullible white people of Oz that the bullied green woman is the real villain instead of the rich white man who rules over their lives. DEI means diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it's a set of ideas that started in the 1960s to enable black people to be treated fairly in America after centuries of racial oppression. The reason why you have a job, can go to college, or live in the neighborhood you want is largely because of DEI. Civil rights laws in the 1960s made it illegal to discriminate against black people, but after hundreds of years of state-sanctioned white privilege, treating everybody, quote, equally, only freezes the status quo in place. If white people on average have $110 and black people only have $10, and you give everybody $90 equally, white people will have $200 and black people will have $100, meaning white people will still have $100 more than black people. It's not just theoretical. A study in 2015 in Greater Boston found that the average net worth of white households was $247,000. But for black American households, it was only $8. That's not a misquote, a misprint, or a mistake. That's the intentional miscarriage of justice. That's why race-neutral solutions to race-specific problems don't work. DEI made it a priority for schools, employers, businesses, and government agencies to recruit and retain black people. But when the Supreme Court struck down race-based affirmative action in college admissions in 2023, it opened the doors for a flood of local, state, and federal litigation and legislation to claim that white people are being oppressed by a non-existent thing called reverse racism. Since that time, a Trump-appointed federal judge here in Texas ruled that the Minority Business Development Agency must now help white men. 2 Trump-appointed federal appeals judges in Georgia ruled that a venture capital fund for black women can no longer focus on helping black women. A Trump-appointed federal judge here in Texas also blocked aid for black farmers because it was unfair to white men. And Trump himself has announced that his administration plans to pay restitution to presumably white students he feels are victims of DEI. Never mind the fact that black people experience higher unemployment, lower wages, more student loan debt, lower home ownership rates, and grossly disproportionate arrest and incarceration rates. They say when you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. I'm not sure if white Americans really believe that they are the ones oppressed, but their collective sense of innocence and entitlement depends on perpetuating that fraud. So what can you do? 1, you can stop shopping at places that don't care about you. 2, you can support black Black-owned businesses. And 3, you can support lawmakers who support DEI. But most importantly, you need to be aware, with Trump and Elon Musk attempting to control the levers of power in government, media, education, and corporate boardrooms in America, the next 4 years will usher in a deluge of racial brainwashing, reprogramming, and misinformation. Just like the leaders of Oz, they will manipulate the truth and exploit their power to convince the people that the oppressors are the victims and the victims are the oppressors. Don't let them rewrite our history.
If you live long enough and you try hard enough, the hero will become the villain. I'll say that again. If you live long enough and you try hard enough, you will live to see the hero become the villain, or in this case, the underdog. So we haven't really dealt with this on the Real HD show. And DEI is nothing but another like name for races, for, you know, according to the folks who want to clamor on about it, DEI is nothing but, in our frame, it's nothing but another way of leveling the playing field. Now, they didn't have to create this acronym, DEI, that comes all the way out of Davos and WEF and the ESG and the, DEI and social credit score of it all. But the point of the matter is, no matter, they'll every 20 years, every 10 years, 5 years ago, it was CRT, right? They'll always come out with some nomenclature, some limerick, some language that will paint them as being victimized by the very thing that they created. This social construct called racism, and believe me, it's a construct. It was created. Racism is not natural, right? Look at kids play. Until kids learn what adults goof up all the time, they will just naturally play with one another. So this whole piece about racism is made up. It's a social construct that stratifies, divides, and has savage inequalities for all groups. For all groups, because gluttony. So because it doesn't matter if you don't have a little, just a little, or you have a lot. And if you have a little, that's problematic. And if you're gluttonous, that means you have so much that you don't really, you have more than you need, and you have more than you would ever want, and you would have more than you could ever share. And there are groups and families and communities in this country that operate like that. And they don't have a problem in the world hanging on to it. Well, now Walmart, who perennially hired Black people, I won't say treated them fairly, but at least gave them an opportunity for employment, are now scaling back all of the efforts that they tried to make when Davos, Switzerland, the WEF said, you know what? We need to be more socially conscious, and we're going to start penalizing companies if you're not socially conscious. So then they made all these set asides for it, and now it's all being repealed. And to me, that just opens up the door for scrutiny, and it opens up the door for trying to reverse the clock, if you understand what I mean, by societal and social progress. You know what I mean? And above all, it just gives mixed messages. And here's one of the really interesting mixed messages that it gives. Okay? Because I'm going to show you something. And it's holiday season, so I guess they expect you to go for this hook, line, and sinker, even though the month before this, all of this stuff came out about Walmart repealing diversity hires, right? Not like America didn't have a problem with that to begin with. So all of these instances and all of these isms of, repealing this and repealing that, these are all problems that America has dealt with for the last 200 years anyway. You know what I'm saying? That they never corrected in any stretch. Why? Because we are 15 to 10 to 15% of the nation's population, yet the revenue that's developed from businesses is 90 to 5 within the country. So that means Anglo-Saxons control on over 90% of business revenue in this country. How does that work? How have we been here for 400 years, but yet they control 90% of the business revenue? There's some inequality going on somewhere. And the mixture and the confusion is, you heard the brother lay it all out. I'm not going to go back into all the statistics that he laid out. Rewind the show, give us a like, give us a share, rewatch that clip, and tell me why you got Busta Rhymes and Neil Long and Lorenz Tate advertising for Walmart. Now, I understand everybody got to eat. I understand everybody needs a little kickback. I understand that they might need the money. But I've seen Busta Rhymes take conscious stands on things. I've seen Neil Long and Lorenz Tate take conscious stands on things. But it's really interesting that they put together a commercial for the holidays right around the time that DEI gets canceled in Walmart and all of these Walmart related stores like Sam's Club, Diners Club, all these different people. And you talk to me, people. How does that look? Would you put your money behind that? 1 minute they want you, 1 minute they don't want you, the next minute they want you. 1 minute they're putting profiling cameras all over Walmart, Target, and all those sorts of department stores, but yet they're gonna retract DEI. The next minute they're telling you they're gonna retract DEI, they got Busta Rhymes and Neil Long and Lorenz Tate asking you for your money during the holidays. Very interesting. Look, I'm not telling you where to shop. I'm not telling you how to live your life. I'm just telling you to open up your eyes and look at what's right in front of you. And then make a conscious choice. Make a conscious choice for how you're going to spend your money. Make a conscious choice for how you're going to spend your time and what you're going to choose to believe versus not believe. So it was kind of like what happened in November. We had the big election situation happen, and black people came once again, another congressional presidential election cycle. Black people walk away with nothing, but yet we get entertainers in our face. We get, all types of time wasters in our face. We get the Megans and the Cardis and the Beyoncés and the Glorillas all in our face, twerking and this and that and this and that. They even put abortion clinics outside of Democratic Republican conventions in November. And that's the okie doke that they expected you to believe in so that you would vote for these people. Nothing tangible, no reparations, no improvement to local schools, no increased federal funding for schools, no, not increasing the tech divide for all U.S. schools, no vouchers for education, you know what I mean? No prison reform, no prison industrial complex reform, no police brutality reform. The George Floyd bill is still a ghost of Christmas past. But guess what? We got to go for the okie doke. We got to watch twerking, and we got to watch all of the goofies go crazy on the stage while we walk away empty-handed with land in our pocket. But yet, supporters of the Democratic Party, like Walmart, expect you to go for DEI retractions while Busta Rhymes and Neil Long entertains you and gets you to spend your money with the very company that say, we don't want no party. Find that real interesting. I think you should too. All right, man, we moving on. Vet it for yourself. come back to the Real HD show and let's have a higher discussion. Okay, so we are where we are, and we about to get more into the Power to the People news. This is Share Your Video Night Part 3. And we're going to put some real interesting things on the screen for you tonight. The first video I got is from Brother Mozzie. He sends us a vid that's really, really interesting that I want to get into at some length because it has to do something with the holidays, toys, shopping for kids, and things that were as it were, a present for, the Gen X babies of it all. And Cabbage Patch Kids. And they survived over, wow, had to be about 30 or 40 years when that first craze of the Cabbage Patch Kids, came out. And, you just had to have it. Like my little sister just had to have the Cabbage Patch doll. And, we are going to check out this video as soon as my joint loads up. Okay. Okay, that's not the one I'm looking for. All right. Okay, here we go. It says be proactive. Let's check this out. Let's check this video out. It's a Mozzie Blacktastic tape on the Real HD show. Watch it. Let's talk about it on the other side. Let me share my screen. Put that thing up. And we can get going. All right. Here we go.
Grandparents never talked about the reset. Why don't they remember anything about it? Well, let me try to explain it. First, there were the Cabbage Patch Babies. Now, these weren't just toys, you see. They became a symbol of something much bigger, why their grandparents or great-grandparents never talked about the reset. Why don't they remember anything about it? Well, let me try to explain it. First, there were the Cabbage Patch Babies. Now, these weren't just toys, you see. They became a symbol of something much bigger, a massive repopulation effort after the reset. These babies, they weren't born the usual way. They were produced almost mechanically in large numbers and distributed through a cold, efficient system. Strange, isn't it? Brings to mind ideas like cloning, doesn't it? And maybe that's why today you see so many folks who just seem to go with the flow. No questions, no thinking. Did you know they say nearly half the population doesn't even have an internal monologue? Imagine that, living life with a quiet mind, just following along. Those babies, those orphan trains, they were shipped off along with abandoned children who had survived the reset, taken from their families, sent to faraway lands. Many ended up in America. And when they got there, they were given a new story, the official version of history. No elders left to tell them the truth. Nobody to remember how things used to be. It made them easier to control, you see, easier to accept the new narrative. People ask me why their grandparents or great-grandparents never...
All right, so we're going to stop that there. But I'm going to take you one step further. I'm going to take you one step further in all of that, okay? Because everybody remembers the craze of the Cabbage Patch dolls, right? But there's a significant history there that I think is very important because now the Cabbage Patch dolls are almost heirlooms, right? Meaning they're so old and they cost so much so now they're collectibles, right? So we're going to look at another video, and I have some timestamps of this video, but I think this video is very pivotal and very important. Let's see. Is this it? Yeah, I think this is it. All right. So let me see if this is it. Oh yeah, this is it. So first, is this it? No, this might be the one with just the person. Yeah, okay. So we can watch this one first. It's interesting. Very, very interesting. Y'all check it out. Let me know what y'all think. Real HD show. This is not the one I wanted to show. I'm going to show you that in a second. But this is interesting. So I think you get the point. Cabbage Patch. Now that's back in 1908, I believe that was. And maybe D.W. Griffith made it, Birth of a Nation. I'm not sure. I'm not going to say he made that, individually, but we know that sort of, um, that sort of framing, that sort of cinematic framing was invented by him at that time of the century, last century, right? But let's check out another video. And of course, they try to make it angelic and delicate and sweet, and they were pulling babies out of the patch. Like that's crazy. Like where does that happen? Babies out of the patch. Babies don't come from a patch. But there's an explanation for this, and we'll get into it right now on the Real HD Show. And I'm glad brother Mozzie sent me this because now we can really get into it and break it down. I think this is it here. Okay, let's see if this is it. All right, so now I got my timestamps. I got to get to my timestamps. Okay, 125. So let's get to 125, and we can hear what we need to hear at the 125 mark. All right, here we go.
Of the repopulation postcards. There are other names for this style, such as baby postcards. By the end of this video, you'll be shocked at how many of these there are. We're talking in the thousands. We found one reference to what these cards were in a book on Amazon named Babylon, Surreal Babies, in which the author describes these same peculiar 1900s postcards and how they were deeply influential to many famous artists, including Salvador. Same peculiar 1900s.
It says babies hatch from eggs, bubble from cauldrons, are fished from rivers, ethered in the cabbage patch, sit atop clouds, and ride in zeppelins. They play instruments, drive automobiles, fly in balloons, harvest fields. The postcards are a source of inspiration for many artists, 1920s and the 30s, in particular both Dodulus and the Surrealists. All right? So I just wanted to read that to you so you could get it.
Hundreds postcards and how they were deeply influential to many famous artists, including Salvador Dali. Yet, the author even admits that little is known of their history. In order to understand why we've labeled them repopulation postcards, a thorough understanding of resets, Tartaria, orphan trains, incubators, asylums, and oddfellows will be necessary. These cards depict babies being grown. There are many different styles.
All right, so let's go to the next timestamp in this whole piece. And thanks to everybody who's watching right now. I appreciate you stopping in, listening in. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a holler. Let me get to my next timestamp because you're going to want to hear this part of it. Okay. What is it? 750, right? Okay. And I think we're just going to let it rock out from 750, 7 minute mark, maybe about 2 minutes, just so you guys can see what's actually going on. Okay. Actually, we'll let it rock from right there, baby boom. That turn. Because I think that sets the stage well. Let me see if I can get back to that. Okay.
To 1910. and there's really no explanation for the birth difference to babies being created in a lab on a mass scale. Why were there so many orphans? Most common answer will be, the baby boom. This didn't happen until 1946 to 1964. These postcards are from 1890 to 1910, and there's really no explanation for the burst of orphans that we see being brought into the United States, or the amount of orphanages and asylums that exist that no longer seem to be necessary. Could the baby boom narrative be a way to sweep this part of history under the rug?
Okay, so now you remember things like the movie Annie and shows like Little House on the Prairie where they featured a bunch of orphanages and things like that. And then, you kind of had those guesstimations in your mind like, why are we featuring orphanages? What's up with this orphanage house for the blind and this and that and this and that? It's really interesting. They're going to get into some things here, and then I'm going to get into a couple of things related to this, and hopefully we can have a nice build. Let's have a higher discussion on the Real HD Show. Check it out.
The orphanages were all shut down, and after the 60s, people just stopped having babies and getting married after World War II, according to the narrative. Then there were the incubators of the 1900s. It's difficult.
This is very important. The incubators of the 1900s. Check it
to
out.
keep premature babies alive with modern technology, yet they were doing this back in 1835 in Europe. They turned this into a sideshow, where at the world fairs they would show off these child hatcheries, these incubators of live children, and for some reason, the royals would come and witness them.
So that's very important. The World's Fair of 1920s and the World's Fair of the 1910s, 20s, and 30s featured a lot of oddities like what do you call that? What sprung out of those? The circus. The circus was one of the major, American institutions that sprung out of the World's Fairs. Uh, Barnum and Bailey Circus and all of the orphans who participated in Barnum and Bailey Circus, who turned into oddities and performers and all of this stuff. And then you wondered where these people come from. How'd they get here? Why are they so odd? Why, what, why? Who, what, how, when, and why will all of these circus oddity type of people, and what do they have to do with me? Really interesting, really interesting. The taxonomy, the ontology, the zoology of it all, out of control. And I think this Cabbage Patch Kids history with these babies born in these incubators between 1818 and 1910 is really pivotal. Check this out.
These events. So there's this genetic manipulation cloning idea in which these babies are actually being grown in some sort of pods, perhaps the symbolism of the Cabbage Patch. It's difficult to keep premature babies alive with modern technology, yet they were doing this back in 1835 in Europe. They turned this into a sideshow, where at the world fairs they would show off these child hatcheries, these
Now remember, this is during the time, or hopefully you can grasp, during this time period, there was in the late 1800s, early 1900s, you're entering a time of eugenics. That's right. Tailor making people. Tailor making people. And then all of a sudden, you get a flood of babies into the United States. So you got eugenics going on all over the globe. People are trying to find, people are playing Dr. Frankenstein. And then all of a sudden in America, an influx of orphans show up. And they're creating genteel stories about these angelic babies coming out of cabbage patches with the stork. And that's where the whole stork piece comes from. Very interesting. Check this out.
Incubators of live children. And for some reason, the royals would come and witness these events. So there's this.
Wow. So they're showing you that way back in the day, even in ancient Greece, they had a genetics and cloning ideology. They wanted to create a perfect human being, a perfect person, a perfect, I guess, Grecian example of a man, woman, or a child. And they had these theories going all the way back to ancient Greece at the Temple of Artemis. Really, really interesting. Let's check out the rest.
Genetic manipulation cloning idea, in which these babies are actually being grown in some sort of pods. Perhaps the symbolism of the Cabbage Patch mirrors that process. Humans do resemble plants in the way that we're connected to a stem in our fetal state, and our whole lives are spent ripening. In the fetal abduction theory, we typically see a nurse-looking woman with either a fishing hook or a fishing net pulling a child out of the water. Perhaps the hook and net represent medical tools and water amniotic fluid. In either scenario, it would make sense that these babies have to end up in incubators or hatcheries. And it begs the question, how did all these premature babies get here? If women back in, these days were having babies prematurely, why in such large numbers? And the babies all being babies, they'd have to have traveled there somehow within a short period of time. What are the chances that so many premature babies were driven from wherever their mothers were to these incubators all in time? And why do they charge people to view them, as if this was some sort of exhibition or sideshow, and not a pressing matter of life and death? For centuries, the stork has been thought of as a symbol for new beginnings and family lineage.
So remember a couple episodes back, maybe in November or maybe even in October, I played a video where it talked about the very first baby formulas that they used to give babies was made from animals. It was made directly from animals. And they expected you to feed your babies animal milk. It's amazing. It's amazing how these things are thought of. And you see how the social excuses for the overabundance of infants in the United States just doesn't make any sense, does it? So it's interesting. Check this out.
The idea that this creature represents life-giving events also makes sense because storks are monogamous creatures, and they mate only once every year with their partners that they've chosen beforehand, choosing mates based solely on personality instead of looks, like many other birds. Now we've got kids inside a train. Orphan trains. Why so many orphans? Were these orphans taken from their families? Were they trained to instruct a new generation of genetically created babies? Or were they womb-napped babies? And we've got kids growing on trees. Kids being carried by storks. The Greek goddess Hera and her Roman counterpart Juno also favor the stork. And I'm sure you guys remember that quirky little teen pregnancy movie from the 2000s. And I suspect that Artemis of Ephesus is an ancient fertility symbol used by the elite to signify their ability to reseed a new population. So we've got hook.
Dag, I know y'all like, wow, who knew the Cabbage Patch babies were so deep? Who knew this ran so deep? Who knew that the Cabbage Patch babies ran so deep? It's crazy. It is absolutely bananas. But let's continue. Hey, brother Mozzie, peace, bro. What's going on?
Oh, not much, man. Finally got in.
Appreciate you, man. Did you? I played your video about the Cabbage Patch Kids. Now we
Interesting,
going,
right?
yeah. Now we going a bit deeper with the same thing. I'll rewind it just a bit so you could catch up with it. All right there is good. I'm just gonna rock for about 2 minutes, and then we could talk about it. We still sharing your videos tonight. Don't worry about it. We're gonna get to it. But this is a good thing. This is based on a shared video. This is just me kind of co-signing what Brother Mozzie sent to me earlier today, because this is interesting. And one of the things that they said in the video, bro, was they said that a lot of the children started to appear right around the time of the World Fairs, 1910s, 1920s, 1930s. And then what that reminds me of is the video that we did a couple months ago about the zoology of and the ontology of circus performers. and how there's an entire. I never did that series. I had to really get deep with the research to do the series. It's coming, but
Mhm.
this is in that same vein. And when you look at like things like Barnum and Bailey Circus, The Greatest Show, all these different circus related things, everybody thinks it's entertainment, but where did all these infant babies come from? Where did they just spring up from? And then it was a century, almost a century of doing this. And I was telling the people also that this is during a time in European history when they were heavy on the eugenic side.
Mhm.
So they were doing a lot of experimenting with the babies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you got a crap ton of orphanages in America and a crap ton of German and Austrian movement into the Americas with families. And all of a sudden, babies are popping up everywhere and they need
Yep.
people to adopt babies. It's really, really interesting. Really, really interesting. And then the last thing I'll say, and maybe you could build on this if you want to, we could build on this on a, well, you know what? I'll save it for the other side. Let's watch the video. Check it out.
1964. These postcards are from 1890 to 1910, and there's really no explanation for the burst of orphans that we see being brought into the United States, or the amount of orphanages and asylums that exist that no longer seem to be necessary. Could the baby boom narrative be a way to sweep this part of history under the rug? The orphanages were all shut down, and after the 60s, people just stopped having babies and getting married after World War II, according to the narrative.
All right, so you heard her right there. She shut the whole baby boom thing down because you know that's what they're gonna say to you, right? Oh, it's the
Mhm.
baby boomers. That's why they're called boomers. That didn't happen until like 30 years later. How you gonna explain all these hundreds of babies running around, thousands of babies running around? Interesting.
Mhm.
Then there were the incubators of the 1900s. It's difficult to keep premature babies alive with modern technology, yet they were doing this back in 1835 in Europe. They turned this into a sideshow, where at the world fairs they would show off these child hatcheries, these incubators of live children, and for some reason, the royals would come and witness these events. So there's this genetic manipulation cloning idea, in which these babies are actually being grown in some sort of pods. Perhaps the symbolism of the Cabbage Patch mirrors that process. Humans do resemble plants in the way that we're connected to a stem in our fetal state, and our whole lives are spent ripening. In the fetal abduction theory, we typically see a nurse-looking woman with either a fishing hook or a fishing net pulling a child out of the water. Perhaps the hook and net represent medical tools and the water amniotic fluid. In either scenario, it would make sense that these babies have to end up in incubators or hatcheries. And it begs the question, how did all these premature babies get here? If women back in, these days were having babies prematurely, why in such large numbers? And the babies all being babies, they'd have to have traveled there somehow within a short period of time. What are the chances that so many premature babies were driven from wherever their mothers were to these incubators all in time? And why do they charge people to view them, as if this was some sort of exhibition or sideshow, and not a pressing matter of life and death? For centuries, the stork has been thought of as a symbol for new beginnings and family lineage. The idea that this creature represents life-giving events also makes sense because storks are monogamous creatures, and they mate only once every year with their partners that they've chosen beforehand, choosing mates based solely on personality instead of looks, like many other birds. Now we've got kids inside a train. Orphan trains. Why so many orphans? Were these orphans taken from their families? Were they trained to instruct a new generation of genetically created babies? Or were they womb-napped babies? And we've got kids growing on trees. Kids being carried by storks. The Greek goddess Hera and her Roman counterpart Juno also favor the stork. And I'm sure you guys remember that quirky little teen pregnancy movie from the 2000s. And I suspect that Artemis of Ephesus is an ancient fertility symbol used by the elite to signify their ability to reseed a new population. So we've got hooks removing babies, kids in the water with a woman holding a net or fishing rod. Is the water the amniotic fluid, pulling children from the wombs of their mothers perhaps? Could that be why there are so many premature babies? Or are they genetically manipulated?
All right. It's crazy, man. It's your video, bro. Talk to us, man. Down the rabbit
Hey, I
hole we
just
go.
saw it, man. I figured I'd share it with the family, man. That's all. But it just gives us something to think about, man.
Yeah,
Just in terms
yeah.
of, one of the things, even back then they were talking about how they had birth issues. And then all of a sudden they were practicing cloning. Did they perfect cloning back then? And we don't know about it? Because
Very
one of the things that
interesting.
we hear about, as it relates to Hitler and the Germans, is that they were definitely on the cutting edge of technology, and they were on the cutting edge. So, I mean, some of the things that they were doing are just not being duplicated. So,
Right.
did they, come in contact with some superior life forms that gave them the text and the knowledge to do this stuff, where they had that
Them man
forward
says superior
thinking,
life forms, no doubt. No,
and then,
you can ask all kind of questions. I agree.
and then that part about when they showed the train. I don't know, remember, have you seen the movie Ice Piercer, Snowpiercer?
Oh no, I haven't.
And the Snowpiercer, it was the kids who were down there feeding the train to make the train go. There was an
Yes.
apocalyptic event, and basically the world froze over. So this train just kept circumventing the globe nonstop through the snow. And it was the rear of the car was the poor people. They ate the sludge or the sloop that was given to them. Every now and then they would come, grab a couple kids, take them out, and they would disappear. There was an overthrow. So as they started trying to get from the back of the train to the front of the train, they went through all different types of. They found out that there was a higher society that lived different on the train. When they got to the front of the train and were trying to stop the train to see what was going on with it, open it up, there's little kids down the bottom feeding the train.
Wow.
So and that's that part, that they show. So this stuff it's just interesting because once again, the whole thing around baby boomers.
Yeah, man, they
Everybody said
reminded
there was a boom after World War II, but it looked like there was a boom already.
Yeah, really interesting. That put me in the mind of the movie Annie or the play Annie.
Yeah.
And how she came from an orphanage full of girls, not claimed. They were crawling all over the walls. They were jumping all over the place, and they in the middle of the city. And you kind of think way leads in the way. People in the city, lots of orphans. I guess that was during the time period where you could actually leave a baby on the steps of a church, and the baby would be cared for and all that type of stuff.
But
But they said,
think about what kind of society it was,
right,
where you had to have orphanages.
Yeah. And we all know that back in the Middle Ages, which just preceded this, they would sell their kids.
Yeah.
Folks would just, I got a girl, she's 13, she's marriageable age, virgin. I'll give you her for a cow and a farmhouse,
Yeah.
That was kind of their get down, you know what I'm saying?
You ain't lying.
What's interesting, and we always have to ask, what in the world does this have to do with us? Well, they said that the clip took place from right around the 1830s, 1820s, all the way up to 1910, 1918, something like that. And 1809 is when the Atlantic slave trade came to an end. Not slavery, but just the slave trade. And then, of course, you had an uptick in the Industrial Revolution at that point. So my thoughts is, were a lot of these babies meant to be the new facilitators and the workers in these factories? In your Englands, in your Americas. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and remember in the Industrial Revolution, they were.
Yeah.
The ones who are working the factories, all these children.
Right. Not only that, but they were selectively breeding black folks back then.
Mm-hmm.
So what makes you think they weren't doing that to each other? Interesting.
Yeah, I
Interesting
remember.
stuff.
You know, in American history, when I was in high school, you know, one reason why they had to come up with all these new worker laws wasn't because they had adults working 12-hour days. You know, it was they had children working 12
They
hour
had
days.
children. Yep. Yep. Yep.
And these kids would
Choking
leave
from
the
the smoke.
orphanage, go work, and come back.
Yep. 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 Get their hands chopped off and their little
And they
fingers
weren't given,
mangled and all type of stuff. Yep. Yep.
yeah, and they weren't giving jobs to adults. They were giving them to all these children, excess children that they had.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you only have to pay them like you had to pay adults. Flip
Uh-huh.
them a coin. Flip them a coin
And they
and
had
they
a little bit
good.
more energy.
Yeah, and they got more
Yeah.
energy, and they gonna do what you tell them to do. You know, so it's just real interesting. It's just real interesting. That's a real interesting clip, and it just tells me, you know, the franchise that America has with, you know, information omission. You know what I mean? That's a franchise of theirs. You know what I'm saying? For sure,
Right.
for sure. Because this
And
should
you
have
know, people
been
probably wondering what does this mean for us? Oh, go ahead. No, I was saying people are wondering what this have to do with us.
right.
If they're gonna do it to their white babies, let's not forget. You know what I mean? And everything that has been built upon in this world, not in this world, but in this country, is built on exploitation. We've talked
Right.
about that.
Right.
We've talked about how they didn't care about nobody.
Right. Right. Right.
So if you think you special or you got something different than the average black person, you got another thing coming. Don't
Yeah.
believe your own hype.
Right. Right. Yeah, man. And I want to share something because we think that you know, they got the CRISPR now, and you know, they got Cold Spring Harbor out there in Long Island that was heavy in the eugenics circuit, and now to know and to actually think, and it's plausible that that stuff was going on way back in the early part of the 1800s, and now we're getting more and more information about things, you know, the Frankensteins of it all. You know, I think there's a
Mhm.
reason why Frankenstein is so popular. You know what I mean? I think there was a lot of that going
Mhm.
on in a means to get cheap labor, get cheap, you know, workers, cheap whatever, so they can fuel this industrial revolution that they were trying to, you know, oh so bad, you know, get into flux and get into way. So it's just interesting piece right there. I appreciate it. Hey man, vet this video for yourself. Come back to the Real HD show. Let us know what you think and what you found out. Very, very heavy material. Um, there's way too many connective nerve endings to our story. All you got to do is just think about what was going on during that time period and what we were doing at that time period. And then you'll get a
Mhm.
glimpse into the conditions that bred most of it. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting. The dynamics of it is really, really okay. So let me see. Let's get back to it. Let's get into share your video night on the Real HD show, part 3. So we're gonna jump right into this. Um, this one comes from. Oh, you know what? Before we get off the baby topic, um, check this out. I remember we did a show on this not too long ago. Shout out to Iron Man Chris Starks. He was on our show when we did this. So now we're talking about the babies in the the orphan babies and the entirety of the savage inequality that created so many foreign babies where you don't know where they come from and the orphans and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
I don't know if you remember this, but You remember this here? These baby ecto farms?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember there used to be a movie out. There was a movie out that that dealt with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you go back and you look
And
at
then
the
remember,
videos, go ahead. No, go ahead.
oh no, and don't forget, remember the Blade movies. Also, the
Mm-hmm.
Blade number 3, showing where they were
Mm-hmm.
harvesting humans for consumption.
Mm-hmm. The Matrix, yeah, yeah. All those sorts of shows where this sort of thing will go on. So I'm just showing this to let everybody know that this is not as far fetched as you think. It's really not. And then also, what's interesting about that period is that you had your night riders, and if you were black and you were in the South, you didn't want no part of the night riders because all they was coming to do was snatch folks up, and then they would make them living cadavers.
Vampires at night.
You know, living cadavers or
Yep.
for some sort of scientific research, whatever. So it's really interesting how all that develops. Let us know what you think. Get back with us on the Real HD Show. All right, man. So just wanted to let us know in the comments what you think about that. It gets real serious. A doll is not just a doll. That Cabbage Patch Kid has a story, a narrative, and we kind of got to be aware of it so we can make critical decisions. All right, so let's go to let's play one of Jazzy's videos. Let's play one of her joints because she always sends me 1.5 million videos. Let me play one of hers and we could deal with it on the other side. Let's see. Any day now. Okay. Give me a second, family. These things have to load up, so that's the only problem with this. I'm waiting for it to load while I'm talking to you. All right, let's play another one of yours while I'm looking for Jazzy's joint right quick. All right.
All right.
Let's play this one here. All right.
They have figured.
All right. Okay, here we go.
This out. We need somebody. We need heroes. And if we need heroes, they're going to be the ones that provide them. I ain't got nothing to get Kendrick or any of that shit. I'm just looking at it for what it is. We haven't had a real freedom fighter for whatever purpose that is since the 60s. They have found ways to usurp. And I always go back to Ice Cube. And Ice Cube is my man, right? 50 grand. When he came out, he was the most feared rapper alive. I'm sorry. Just the look of his eyes, what he was taught, especially when he left NWA and he got with Khalid Muhammad, right? And he started talking, spewing. He already had a platform. I plus C equals T. What is his intentions? He trying to wake up America. What is his capabilities? Well, he got Khalid Muhammad, the Nation of Islam, a bunch of street gangbangers. This is a threat. Next thing you know, They gave him a movie deal. And the first movie, you know, Boys in the Hood was similar. That was cool. And then what they did was they turned him into somebody that made you laugh. We go with Friday, another classic movie. And then they just pulled the plug on this nigga. Are We There Yet was the most goofiest shit that when you understand where we're talking about public perception, where he was, how he was viewed, to now he in the car getting milkshakes poured on him and shit. They did that to show you how easy it is to neutralize anything they see now as a threat. Now, Cube is my guy. He pivoted back to doing what he does, but I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't watch that in real time. Right? Public Enemy, fight the power. You fight the power long enough until you become the power. What did they do? They got rid of Professor Griff because he was a goddamn problem, right? They give Flav a goddamn reality TV show and cut Chuck some goddamn checks. And now that's gone. You fight the establishment long enough until you become the establishment. And if you can prove me otherwise, please show. The minute you walk across the stage and accept the Grammys, you are not a threat to society. You're not a threat to anybody. And stop with he's fighting for the culture. We don't own the culture. Because.
All right. That was a mouthful right there. What's the science? What's the science behind that? I mean, it's self-evident, but you know, you can tell the people what prompted you to submit that.
You know, we just got to look. You know, one of the things Malcolm has always talked about when we look at who our leaders are. You know, they always seem to come from the entertainment realm, and this just goes. And then for those who may have an opportunity to maybe grow to the point where they're giving us they can be good leaders, they pretty much get co-opted. And as Brother Coakley would say, to become, next you know, we got white finance, black leadership. Who are they ultimately beholden to?
Right.
So, you know, we just got to look at this stuff and say, hey, we're going to make some changes. And for those who try to grow their way naturally into a leadership position, we got to put ourselves in position to where we can take care of them and protect them. You know, I remember when, you know, people used to go hard after Tavis Smiley, but you know, because he had a platform and he would never truly jump on the issue. He'd be right up at the cusp. Yeah. But it's like it was a fine line that he wouldn't cross.
Yeah.
But I would say, you know, is anybody going to pay, finish paying his house note if something was to happen?
Yeah. And he did take several hits, not only to his reputation, but his pockets, and he rebounded with the radio station, but you know, it's not the platform that it once was. I agree.
Yeah, so we have to think about that. If we're going to talk about being free and having leaders, the one way we have leaders is we have to help support those leaders financially. And if we throw around enough money that we should be able to, you know, no matter what happens to that person, we're going to make sure they're good.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not impossible.
You know,
our collective GDP can handle it. You know what I mean? It's not impossible, but you know, people have to care enough and want to invest enough. I mean, we all get riding. Everybody gets riding when it's at the, you know, federal level. You know, you see a Kamala, you see a Obama, and they're on their way. Now everybody wants to jump on the bandwagon and you know, extol all their virtues, when we should be raising the dude up. We should be raising the sister or the brother up from ground up,
from the grassroots.
Yeah, it should be ground up.
Malcolm always talked about.
Yeah, and they should be fully funded, fully organized, fully stocked, invested in what their mission is. Not and they should know, yo, you're gonna get approached. You're gonna get opportunities to jump ship. You're gonna get those sorts of things. Almost like the drop squad sort of thing. You know what I mean? But just somebody who
Hmm.
graduates out of that and can really represent the people in a major way. You know what I mean?
Right, because people forget about how, what happened to Malcolm.
Yeah.
When he found himself when he left the nation. The brother had to survive. They stopped paying, and they stopped paying his mortgage. So now he's selling the rights to his story in his book for just so he can live for now. He's selling part of his future. And it shouldn't have to be that way.
No, it shouldn't. No, it shouldn't. No, it should not. All right, man. So let's keep it moving, man. Tonight's share your video night. And we got one from Sister Aurora who's on the show quite a bit. And I wanted to give her video some shine, the one that she submitted to us. So she says, here, I got a story to tell. Hit it. So we're gonna get into it right now. Let me make sure the sound is up. Check this out.
To the world. I'm not sure if you're aware, but I created the world's most popular computer operating system. No, of course. But as we all know, it wasn't actually you who created it. As a matter of fact, the predecessor of Windows, MS-DOS, was created by Gary Kildall, which you then basically stole from him for a couple of dollars. It's not just development. There's a whole lot of important factors to running an enormously successful company like Microsoft. So then let's leave the computer world for a moment. You have been a major spokesperson for COVID vaccines during the pandemic. Yes. What exactly makes you a computer engineer who didn't even program his initial product himself, a valid representative of the pharmaceutical industry? I have read a lot of books about that topic. But how does that? Wait a second. And met with specialists from the field all over the world. Mr. Gates, with all due respect, how do you feel about it now? Now that it's becoming more and more evident that the medication you were promoting, whilst having heavily invested in it yourself, thus making billions of it. This is not how the world works. Has caused countless injuries, side effects, and death. That's a very immature way of looking at it, quite frankly. So here's my final question to you. Is this a behavioral pattern? What do you mean exactly? Taking technology from other people that you don't understand, selling a product full of bugs, causing massive damage and profiting from it in a spectacular.
Wow, there you go. There you go.
That's what it is.
There you go. You saw my man get the beatboxing. Well, Prince Marky D and the Fat Boys over there getting it in.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we ruminate on things like this. I've never heard a white interviewer with enough gravitas to just bring it to his chin like that. What's your thought when she asked him about, yo, you a computer engineer, you a computer dude. What makes you qualified to talk medicine to people?
Well, remember too, she's foreign, and I'm almost positive that's done on a station outside the U.S. And
Right.
for those who've never traveled outside the U.S., you realize when you travel outside the U.S., you'll be amazed at how much opposition newspaper and news that's out there that's allowed to freely exist,
Right.
and how in this country it does not. Now, they have their corporate media, just like everybody else do, like when you go to Europe and places like that. But in general, there is a lot of opposition newspapers that exist that you can get your hands on.
Right.
And as well as, that you can see on mainstream TV. We just don't got that kind of stuff in this country. So for us, it's kind of hard to believe and understand how something like that can happen. But it happens in other parts of the world.
Yeah. They can do some unbiased programming, or you can get the other side of the story. You know what I mean? You may get the national side of the story, and then on another venue you might get the other side of the story.
The question then becomes, who has more freedom? Who democracy is better? Since we like to tout democracy all over the world.
Right. And then what was also interesting in the conversation was the fact that dude said, and he said it like he knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody. Like, the man sitting next to the man who's sitting next to the man next to the man that said my piccolo player is a the old Robin Harris piece. But he said to her, this is not how this works. I was like, oh, okay.
So what do you mean then? And he couldn't answer that. It was either he can't answer it, or he know he have to spill the beans.
Right. He said, this is not how any of this works. Meaning, I didn't come here for this.
There you go. She's like, now, whether she still got a job afterward would be interesting to find out.
Right.
But
interesting to see where she's at right now.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. So thank you, Sister Aurora. That was a really interesting clip that you showed. Really, really interesting joint. Yeah, man. Oh wow, I didn't realize the time. All right, man. You know what? We're gonna shut it down right here. It's 1:45. Thank y'all for rocking with the Real HD Show. I know we were a little long-winded on the whole Cabbage Patch thing, but it's the holiday season, so I know y'all want to run out there and buy a gang full of toys and a slew full of this and a slew full of that. Just be vigilant about the context and the vibration and what all of these things mean for your life, and please don't overspend to make these folks, they don't care about you. This stuff is plastic. It's all plastic.
Mm-hmm.
It's all plastic. Hey, give it to the brilliant brother Julian Brown, who turns plastic into diesel, and let's all go to his gas station and gas up. How about that? How about that? How about we all pull up to his gas station and gas up on his refined fuel run by a young black man? Okay, there it is. All right, Brother Mozzie,
Ain't
what
that
you got
something?
going on for the holidays, an event, a soiree, anything?
Just Kwanzaa's coming up.
Yeah.
Things are set. First event is the 26th, held at City Hall. Start at 4 p.m. So come on through for those who are in town.
Fire.
For those who may be coming through town, stop in. We're gonna have a nice. It's gonna be nice this year.
Absolutely. All right, man. So we're gonna get ready to get out of here. For all of us on the Real HD Show, thank you for watching. It's been really dope. Thank you for your time. For myself, Brother Mozzie. Y'all make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, turn on your notifications so that every time we have a Real HD Show, you could tap in and we can have a higher discussion. All right, y'all. Y'all love on each other. Y'all be safe during all these festivities. And I'm going to say peace.